All right. What's up, everybody out there on YouTube? Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've done a video. Um, well, yeah, mainly because if anyone's wondering why I haven't done one in such a long time, uh, they were recently doing construction in my house. They were remodeling my sister's room. So we had a bunch of people always coming in and out. They had to shut the power off every once in a while to get the lights installed. So it was just a pain in the ass. And then once that was done, I kind of just got a little lazy. And I only had a couple things really that I had bought. And I didn't want to just, usually, I like to show off a couple things I get. And what I'm going to show right now is stuff that I've gotten over the past couple weeks or probably been a month or so, you know. Whereas before, I would have just shown you like a couple stuff I had, and I got a couple movies, couple DVDs, um, three Blu-rays, and a ton of games, a ton of video games. I got a ton of PS3 games to show off, one PlayStation 1 game, and then a bunch of PlayStation 2 games, and then two original Xbox games because I actually still have my original Xbox. And speaking of video games, really quickly, I just like to say Microsoft made a great system with the original Xbox. The original Xbox, I still think, is a great system. The Xbox 360. Now, I have an Xbox 360, um, and the one I have now, I bought during Christmas time last year. I actually bought it on Black Friday. I got a pretty good deal for it. I bought it for $150. Now, granted, it didn't have a hard drive. All it had was 4 gigabyte built-in memory. Um, and what happened was I decided to buy less games for my Xbox 360. I'm going to stick with just the exclusive titles on the 360, and then third-party games I'm going to buy on the PS3. Mainly because even though these newer models, the new slim models, I guess what you would call them, they're less likely to get the red ring of death. But that doesn't mean that it still won't happen, because I've heard of people who have that particular model and it still happens. Uh, okay, sorry about that phone running off. Like I was saying, these new models of Xboxes, they're less likely to get it, but they might still get the red ring of death. And I had an Xbox. That was one of the first next gen consoles that I bought, and I bought it because it was cheaper than the PlayStation 3. Um, and what happens is, when I got the red ring of death on my older Xbox 360, I was pretty pissed off. And when I found out that it's a thing that happened with a ton of the Xboxes, especially the first and second generation of those, I was pretty pissed off, and I was upset that Microsoft would release such a faulty system. That being said, I think if I take care of it, if I dust it constantly, make sure the filter, which what I like about these new models, the new slim Xbox 360s, is that the filter is on the top. It's not on the side. Because I think another one of the problems is a lot of people put them on the very end, put them up against their walls, and that would cover it up and overheat it and stuff like that. Now, granted, it isn't just because it overheats; it's because of the CPUs and the GPUs. They're faulty and they break constantly. And I've heard that they fix that, and I hope that's the case because I really don't want to have to deal with that because I'll be honest, I didn't buy the warranty for this new 360. I didn't buy a warranty for it because it only cost me $150. I didn't spend that much money on it. So, I'm fine. Just, if it breaks down, um, I can probably get another one also without a hard drive because they're cheaper without hard drives. If they don't have a built-in hard drive, then you're going to get it for less than, you know, what the other hard drives than the other models that have hard drives cost. And I just I haven't used a lot lately. I actually there are some cool games for it. I mean, I enjoy playing Halo, Gears of War. Gears of War is a lot of fun. I actually started playing the first Gears of War a little while ago. Um, there's also a couple other games on it that I want to play, like Burnout Revenge. Um, this one first-person shooter called Prey, um, and this other game that I have. I showed it in one of my other updates called Alan Wake, which is a really cool kind of survival horror, kind of, well, they describe it as a psychological action thriller, and that's a really cool game. That's one of the games I actually saw a buddy of mine play that game, and he told me what the game was about, and it kind of got me thinking, you know what, I want to play that, and it's one of those situations where I wanted to get an Xbox because I wanted to play that game, and of course, coming out, I think later this year at the probably towards December, towards Christmas is Halo 4, which I'm looking forward to. Halo 4. And of course Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. A lot of exclusive titles, and I'll stick with exclusive titles for that. Third party games, of course, are going to be with my PS3, which I do think the PS3 is a better system. Both systems I think are great. Now the Xbox has brought down a huge notch because of that risk of the Red Ring of Death, and because they charge for online services. Um, PS3 does not. Now, I will say Xbox Live is better than PS3, than the PlayStation Network. It offers you more stuff. It has a better interface. It's easier to use. Um, you can make your own little avatar, a little person to represent you. Granted, my guy doesn't look anything like me. Because you can only make those characters so fat. I mean, um, and it's better. Xbox Live is better, and maybe people justify the cost because of that, but they're the only people who charge for online services. Sony doesn't charge for it, Nintendo doesn't charge for it, and even when you play online on a PC, if you want to use multiplayer on a PC game, there's no extra charge. So, it just seems like a bit of a it seems too much to charge $60 for a brand new game and then charge if you want to get the little cards. You can either connect it to your credit card, or you can have it connected, or you can get those little Xbox Live Gold membership cards, and they have $25 for 3 months or another $60 for a year. May not seem like that big of a deal, but if you buy a new game and your Xbox Live account expired, you got to still spend another $25 for 3 months, or another $60 for a year. It just seems like it's a bit much, and they're also the only ones who charge for it. And it seems hard for me to believe that Microsoft needs to charge for their services. I don't know. I guess that's just me. And I probably won't use Xbox Live that much anymore, so I'm not gonna bother buying another membership unless I want to download a game or something like that I can't find on PSN, which is unlikely. Most of the games available for download on PSN are also on Xbox Live, so it doesn't matter. But those are just my 2 cents on video games. I mean, I still have my PS2. I still have my Xbox. Those are great systems. Those were made to last, and they still work. It's kind of hard to believe, you know. But yeah, I mean, they both have their pros, they both have their cons. I think one thing that serious gamers, which I'm not, but I think that any gamer, anybody who plays games, can agree on one thing. Whether you love the 360 or love the PS3, we've been both agreed that out of all the new game systems, the Wii is the weakest one. Okay? Nothing against Nintendo, but let's just say that I just feel that's the weakest one. Alright, guys. So now that I'm done with that tangent, let's get into this. I'm going to start with the Blu-rays and DVDs first, because I have less of those. I have more video games than movies this time. First up, the 3 Blu-rays I bought. Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol. This is the Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy. Awesome movie. One of my favorite films of last year. And it's a film that really I wasn't looking forward to. I thought another Mission Impossible movie. I was like, but, I really loved this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the cast was great. Some really solid action sequences. It's my favorite of the Mission Impossible films. I mean, this is the one I had no problems with this. The other ones I had problems with, but this one I just really enjoyed. I've seen it I've seen it again since I bought it. It looks really good on Blu-ray. Um, just a great movie. I mean, I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, that's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. That's a great movie right there. Next up is Intruder, the Blu-ray DVD combo pack released by Synapse Films. Saw this movie a long time ago. I have the old DVD, the older one that has nothing on it, just a bunch of trailers. Um, and overall, I enjoy the film. I heard about this through here on YouTube, and I really enjoyed the movie the first time I saw it. When I heard this was coming out, and I heard it was going to have all these features, um, I decided, why not upgrade to the Blu-ray DVD combo pack? And it's got a lot of great special features. It's got audio commentary. It's got a behind-the-scenes making of the film. Outtakes from the new Lost short film Night Crew, which was sort of the original version of this. Uh, Extended murder sequences from the original work print. But yeah, and it's a really solid slasher movie. And if you like the film, or if you haven't seen it and you want to get it, this is the version to own because it's got all the great special features on it. So yeah, that's Intruder. Next up is a movie that I already had. I showed you the DVD in my last update, but I remember I said that I wanted to get this movie on Blu-ray also because I wanted to own both copies of the film, and that is The Perfect Weapon on Blu-ray. Awesome martial arts flick. Just a really fun movie, great introduction to Jeff Speakman. I never thought that this would ever be released on DVD or Blu-ray. Just a really fun, solid martial arts flick. I'm gonna keep my DVD. I'm gonna, because like I said, I wanted to have both copies, both the DVD and the Blu-ray. So yeah, that's The Perfect Weapon. It's an awesome movie. Next up, a couple movies I got at Walmart. This one I got for $5. Hostage with Bruce Willis. Very solid thriller, kind of underrated. I actually saw this in the theater when it came out. Really solid Bruce Willis flick. Really solid. I would say it's underrated. Not a lot of people talk about it anymore. I mean, it's not an all-out action movie. It is more of a thriller. But a great movie nonetheless. Bruce Willis does a really solid job, and I got that at Walmart for $5. Sadly, too, though, that movie I think flopped. I remember when it came out, it only made like $10 million opening weekend. I don't know how much it cost, but that's too bad though. It was a good movie. Next up is also I would say kind of an underrated movie. It just sort of came and went. But it's a film that I saw it, and overall I thought it was a really funny movie. And that is The Change-Up with Jason Bateman and Ryan Reynolds. Really fun comedy. It's basically sort of like a body swap movie. These two guys, they sort of make a wish that they had each other's lives, so they end up switching places, and hilarity ensues. There is one sort of really nasty joke at the beginning of the film, and if you, which I actually did think was kind of funny, but it is kind of nasty at the same time. But overall, I enjoyed the film, The Change-Up. I thought it was actually really funny. I mean, it's nothing original. The whole body swap thing's been done a bunch of times, but it worked. I thought it worked. It was nice to see both those guys sort of act like each other. Just some of the stuff they said. I mean, I enjoyed it. I found it to be a pretty fun movie, and I would say it's really underrated. Next up is a movie. I bought it mainly because I wanted to see it, not really knowing whether or not I would like it or not. It was just sort of I took a chance on it, and overall, I like the movie. It's decent. Let me show you what it is. It's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Now, I will say this. I have seen the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. It is a piece of shit. And yes, this woman, Rooney Mara, she is awful in that. Awful. Awful in that. However, she is actually surprisingly good in this. Now, granted, it could be because in this movie she's working with David Fincher, whereas in that movie she was working with some idiot whose only claim to fame was the fact that he directed that, Smells Like Teen Spirit music video. I believe that's what it was. That guy directed that video. Great music video, but the guy, that doesn't mean he can direct the movie. She is actually really good in this, surprisingly good in this. And so is Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig is great in this. And it's a decent movie. It's a little long. It's about 2 hours and 47 minutes. And it is sort of a mystery, sort of a build-up. Granted, it's not a big surprise. When they reveal who the killer is, it's not really a surprise. Like, the second you see this, there's an actor in this, and the second you see this particular actor, you're like, okay, this guy fucking did it. And they don't even know early on that it has to do with like a serial killer, and they're trying to find this one guy's niece, and maybe she was one of the victims of this killer. But like I said, it's not much of a mystery. I mean, once you see this guy, you're like, this guy fucking did it. But nonetheless, I still enjoyed it. I thought visually it looked really good. Like I said, surprisingly, Rooney Mara was actually good in this. I mean, you do feel bad for her character because she ends up getting raped anally, sodomized. But you feel bad for her, but the guy that does that to her, she kind of makes him pay in a pretty harsh way. And you know what? Overall, I would say I liked the film. I didn't say I wouldn't say I loved it, because again, it is really long and kind of slow paced. But I mean, it's worth a watch. I'm not mad that I bought it. I'll keep it in my collection. It's a decent movie. It's worth a watch. And the last of the DVDs is your all TV seasons of a TV show that I've been really getting into lately. It's a show I really enjoy, and that is The X-Files. And I got seasons 3, 4, 5, and 6. Very, very solid show. I remember I was just a kid when the show was still on the air, and I didn't really know what it was about. And I think I saw glimpses of it on TV every once in a while. Sadly, really, I only got to see like the last couple seasons, and which include like the last 2 seasons once David Duchovny left the show. But nonetheless, it's a solid show. I enjoy it. Some really cool episodes in that. If I had to pick an episode so far that out of the series that I've seen so far that I love, my favorite would be from season 5. It would probably be the episode Bad Blood. I just thought that episode was really funny. And the weird thing is, one thing I forgot to mention when I showed you guys the first 2 seasons of Supernatural was that a lot of people that worked on the X-Files actually went on to work on Supernatural. David Nutter, who worked on X-Files for the first 3 seasons, he actually went on to work on Supernatural. He even directed the pilot episode. Kim Manners, before he passed away, he worked on Supernatural. And I believe John Shiban or John Shaban, I think it's John Shiban, he went on to work, I think also as a producer and as a writer on Supernatural. And a lot of the actors too. Mitch Pileggi, who's on the X-Files, he shows up in Supernatural. What was that one guy's name? Fuck. Mitch Pileggi. God damn it. Steven Williams, I think that's him. Steven Williams, the guy who plays the character X, who he's like Mulder's informant. He shows up on Supernatural, and among other actors like Titus Welliver, who shows up in season 1 in the episode Darkness Falls. He shows up on Supernatural in one episode playing War, one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. There's this actor named Mark Shepard who was in an episode in season 1 called Fire. He shows up on Supernatural playing a demon named Crawley. Even this one actor named Jim Beaver, he's in an episode in season 6 in the episode Field Trip as the coroner. He shows up on Supernatural. So a lot of people that were involved on this show went on to work on Supernatural, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, the X-Files is a great show, and granted, I do watch Supernatural a lot more because that's a show I could say I grew up with, because I'm not that old. I'm only 20 years old here, folks. But yeah, next up I got a couple of video games. Well, a lot of video games. I'm gonna start with my PS3 games. Singularity, which is a first-person shooter. I haven't played any of these yet. I haven't had the time to yet, but saw some footage of this. It looks like a fun game, Singularity. It's sort of a game where you have not just weapons you're fighting, but you have like this time manipulation device. So like you can shoot an enemy with it and it'll age them rapidly. So you can wear them down into dust. Looks like a fun game. Armed with powerful advanced weaponry and the experimental time manipulation device, fight enemies from the past, the present, and abominations caught somewhere in between. Fight the past, save the future, stop the singularity. Singularity. So that sounds like a fun game. I love first-person shooters, by the way. That's mainly what I got here. Next up is Wolfenstein, which is a reboot of the original Wolfenstein game, of course, made by id Software or ID. Also heard this was a fun game. I know they tried this once before to reboot this franchise for the last gen consoles with Return to Castle Wolfenstein, The Tides of War. I probably want to check that game out too. But yeah, this is Wolfenstein, another first-person shooter. Next up, Unreal Tournament 3. Never played any of the Unreal Tournament games. I know this is like the first one to have a campaign, which I heard is really not much. It's just sort of build up for the multiplayer, which is what these games are mainly known for. They're mainly multiplayer games. So I don't know if there's anyone out there still playing Unreal Tournament 3. You know, because because if I can get through the campaign, you know, I'm gonna want to check out the multiplayer. But if no, you know, usually old games like that, there aren't really that many people still playing them. So we'll see. Next up is Bulletstorm Limited Edition, which really isn't much. You just get like one little thing. And I heard a lot of cool things about Bulletstorm. But I actually really want to play this one. And the thing about this game is that they were thinking about doing a sequel. The game sold about 1 million copies, which is decent. But from what I understand, it didn't really make much of a profit for the company that developed this, Epic Games and EA. So any plans for which they were planning to do. They were planning a Bulletstorm 2, but they decided to scrap it because it didn't make any money, which is too bad because I saw some footage of this. It looks like a really fun game. Looks really fun. Something different from the usual first-person shooter. An intense, outrageous shooter. Entertainment Weekly. So yeah, that's Bulletstorm. Looking forward to that. Oh, I think I forgot to mention one thing about that game, Bulletstorm. There's no competitive online multiplayer. So that might be one of the reasons why it flopped, because once you get past the campaign, most people go and check out the multiplayer. But this didn't have any, which is too bad, because I've seen some of the footage, and being able to do some of the stuff you do in that game, online against other people, that would be awesome. But of course, they didn't include that. I guess they wanted to be different, and it kind of backfired on them. Next up is a pretty old game. It came out around the same time Halo 3 came out, and it's kind of overshadowed by Halo 3, and that is Time Shift, another first-person shooter that also involves sort of using time. You have this power suit on that allows you to stop, um, rewind, or slow down time to your advantage. I did play this one back in the day. I rented it for the 360 my original 360 from back in the day, and I remember it being a pretty fun game. But again, I got it for the PlayStation 3, so looking forward to checking that one out again. Next up, I'm not sure if I showed this already. I don't really remember if I did. If I did, I'm sorry. It's Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, the first Uncharted game. It looks interesting. Definitely wanted to check this one out. Next up is my only PS1 game I got. Duke Nukem, Land of the Babes. Not like the other Duke Nukem games. Like, this is a third-person, more platform action-adventure game. The funny thing is, though, I actually also ordered this other Duke Nukem game. There was also a third-person action game called Time to Kill, but I didn't get that one. When I opened up the package, I got Duke Nukem Forever for the 360, which I actually do want to play Duke Nukem Forever, even though I've heard a lot of bad things about that game. I still would like to play it for myself. But again, I want to get less 360 games. So if I do play that game, I'm going to play it for the PS3. So anyway, that was Duke Nukem Land of the Babes. Next up is a bunch of PS2 games and 2 original Xbox games. Let me show the original Xbox games first. Painkiller Hell Wars. This is sort of a fun, over the top, old school run and gun shooter, kind of like, say, Serious Sam, kind of like that. Looking forward to checking this out. You basically play this guy. You and your wife are in a car accident, and an archangel, I think it's an archangel, tells you that if you want to see your wife again in heaven, you have to go to hell and stop Satan's plans or something. He's got a plan to take over the world, and you have to go destroy his armies and take out his generals. And only then will he be reunited with his wife. I've seen some footage of this. It looks like a really fun shoot 'em up game. Like I said, it's run and gun. You know, it's very old school style shooter where you just pick up guns and just mow down through everything. And next up is another first-person shooter, Time Splitters Future Perfect. This is the third game in the Time Splitter series. I haven't played any of them, but I heard they were really good. I got this one for the Xbox. I was gonna get it for PS2, but the Xbox One is cheaper, and I heard it actually looks better. Anyway, the PS2 was going for way too much money, so I decided to get it for the Xbox. Next up is Project Snowblind. Haven't really heard much about this game. Again, it's a first-person shooter, and I read some reviews. It sounds like a decent first-person shooter. Looking forward to checking that one out. Next up, the sequel to this game is probably not only my favorite first-person shooter, but probably my favorite video game of all time. It's the one game I really got into. I dedicated a ton of hours to. It just sucked me in, and that is Half-Life, the original Half-Life. Never got a chance to play this one before, but I picked it up used on Amazon. Looking forward to checking that out. I doubt I will like it as much as Half-Life 2, because like I said, Half-Life 2 is like my favorite video game of all time. Love Half-Life 2. Highly recommend Half-Life 2. Valve, where is Half-Life 3? I want Half-Life 3. You don't even have to do that much. Just update the graphics a little bit. If you want to still use life packs, that's fine. but if you want to throw in a regenerating health bar, that would be even better. And a couple new weapons, but keep the gravity gun, because the gravity gun is fucking awesome, especially the supercharged energy gun. That shit is awesome. But Half-Life 3, I want Half-Life 3. Please, Valve, get off your fucking asses and give us Half-Life 3 on the consoles, not just on the PC. Next up is a game that I heard is actually pretty underrated, and it sounded cool. I wanted to check it out. That is PsyOps, the Mindgate Conspiracy. Basically, it's a game where you play as this guy who you're a super soldier, but you have telekinetic powers. Like it says back here, pyrokinesis, you can set fires with your mind, telekinesis, remote viewing, and you can do a mind drain to like become more powerful, take other people, you know. It sounded like a really cool game, PsyOps the Mind Conspiracy. It's a third-person action game. It sounded really cool. I saw some footage of it, or I saw some reviews of it. It looked really cool, PsyOps the Mind Conspiracy. And the funny thing is about this game, when I ordered it, there was another game inside this with it. This one right here, The Getaway. Which I actually remember I played this back in the day, if I remember correctly. It's like a third-person combat game with some driving stages. It doesn't matter because I got that for free, but the game is scratched up beyond belief that I don't think it's going to be able to play. But thankfully, PsyOps, the Mind Conspiracy, had a couple scuffs on it, but nothing too bad. Next up is another game that I heard was really good and really fun, really underrated, and I wanted to check this one out, and that is Area 51. And since I spoke about the X-Files earlier, David Duchovny actually does the voice of the main guy in this. So you could probably think of this as like an unofficial X-Files first-person shooter, you know. Just call it the X-Files, you know, Area 51 or something like that. That's Area 51. Next up is another first-person shooter that I had a long time ago, and I've played it before, played it a bunch of times. It's a really fun game. But unfortunately, I let my friend borrow it, and he lost it, so I never got it back. And that is Dark Watch. Really fun, underrated first-person shooter. I used to play this all the time. Just a really fun game. Really cool weapons. You basically play as this guy who's like he's like a thief who gets bitten by a vampire named Lazarus, and you use your extra powers, and you become sort of recruited by this organization called Dark Watch, and they give you that badge right there. It's also that thing on the back. And you become recruited by this organization to help stop Lazarus and his army of evil minions. And as the game progresses, you get to sort of pick your own destiny. Like, you can choose to either do good things or bad things. And depending on the decisions you make, it'll affect the outcome of the game. If you want to be a good guy or a bad guy. Yeah, I mean, Dark Watch, I played this all the time back in the day. Looking forward to checking it out again. Really fun game, by the way. This one I can highly recommend, Dark Watch. Speaking of which, I actually heard that they were to try and make a sequel to that, but then Capcom scrapped it, which is too bad. I would love to see a sequel to that. Next up is a third-person shooter. It's the last game I'm going to show. Kill Switch. Take cover. Take aim. Take over. This is actually the first game, from what I understand. Many people think it's Gears of War, but this is actually the first third-person shooter to incorporate a cover system, which means that you can walk up to a wall, turn around, take cover, peek out, and take aim and shoot at your enemies. This is actually the first game that did it, not Gears of War. Many people think it was Gears of War, but it was actually Kill Switch. Haven't played that one before, so looking forward to checking out. You know, bunch of stuff to do, bunch of stuff to watch. I actually already got through all those seasons of the X-Files. Most of these movies I've seen, now I just got to play some of these games because they're piling up on me, and there's more games I want to get. So yeah, that was my little quick video game Blu-ray and DVD update. Hope you guys liked it. Sorry if I talked for too much. It's like 32 minutes right now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry I've been gone for so long. I'll try to make these videos a little bit more frequent. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Later, bitches. Peace.